Good evening, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. My name's Chris Webb, Head of Communications. A crucial session for us tonight for our EE members, and therefore I'm delighted to be joined by National Officer with responsibility for our EE members, Stephen Alban. Good evening, Stephen.
Hi, Chris. How you doing? Hi, everybody.
I'm good. Thank you, my friend. And great to see already so many of you coming on and joining us and showing your support on the session. You really have a massive part to play tonight. Stephen's going to set the scene and sort of just in a few minutes set out just how important it is that you vote in the forthcoming national ballot and that you vote yes. But actually, this session, much like the union and much like the ballot, belongs to you as members. So we want your questions, and we're going to have as long as it takes here tonight for Stephen to go back and forth and answer every single point which you raise. So please get your thinking caps on and get your questions in. Alongside your questions, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know you're back in the union, and let us know you're going to be voting yes. Because obviously we know full well that management watch these sessions, so it's good for them to see just how much support there is for the union out there. We're going to be also hearing from the EE national team, CW national team, and reps and voices from your workplaces directly a little bit later on. But to kick off the session, whilst you get your comments, and I'm going to hand over to Stephen, who's going to set the scene. So over to you, buddy.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for coming on the call. And as a union, we've had a long history with the CW. I know in my own branch, when I was back in the branch doing work, we were trying to get recognition for many, many years in EE. And we all know the different variations if you've been here long enough. You know, we've had T-Mobile, we've had EE, Everything Everywhere, we had Hutchinson Telecom. And it was sad to see prior to recognition, pay being imposed on our members. You're not having a say. It was never negotiated with you. You didn't get a vote on whether to accept it or not. And for many, many years, I think it was for over 10 years, our members in EE didn't even see a standard of living pay rise for many. When we got recognition, that changed. We negotiated a pay rise that you had a vote, had a say in. And for the first time, I think we got a pay rise that was above inflation for virtually everyone within EE. And we went round after the ballot and everyone was really pleased with that. But obviously there's been a massive change in the company's view now, and they're starting to impose it. And I want to cover why it's so crucial for members to vote yes when the ballot papers come out on the 15th. And in doing so, dispel some of the myths that BT have been telling you. Now, the first myth is probably the biggest, that was probably announced by Philip Janssen, that they can't afford it. And to be honest, you know, BT and EE haven't survived COVID. In fact, they've thrived during COVID. A lot of customers needed faster broadband. They needed more TV packages to entertain themselves and the kids through lockdown. They needed extra mobile packages. And equally, you know, the company made £1.3 billion profit this year. And you only have to look at the dividends that they've paid out to the shareholders, which is £761 million worth of that profit. And they're saying that they can't afford to share some of that with you and give you a standard of living pay rise. And to be fair, it's only a very small amount of that 761 million would cover giving you a standard of living pay rise, because you were the ones who, in the main, have made that profit for the company. But I think equally it's important to touch on imposition, because this isn't just about present pay, it's about the future of pay. And imposition is a very, very dangerous culture that we don't want to get into. We've always negotiated pay in BT, and we started when we got recognition with EE to negotiate as well. And once we've negotiated, we have to present that to you, and you have to have a say in whether to accept it or not. And that's why that if we allow this to continue, if we don't all vote yes, and I mean not just one or two, I mean every single member vote yes to send a clear message to the company that we all stand together, whether we're in EE, Openreach or BT, then that world of imposition will continue. And it's like I said, you've been there before, and I know you don't want to go back to that. And this is quite clearly the biggest fight we've ever had in our history. If you look at the history of the CBU, it was 35 years ago before we had a ballot that encompassed all sections of BT, including Openreach or EE. And that tells you that we don't take these things lightly. But we have to take this action because the new management that have come in don't want to negotiate with us now. They want to remove our voice, and they want to impose pay moving forward. And that's got to be unacceptable to every single member within EE, whether it's BT or Openreach. And that's why it's so crucial. So I won't go on too long, because I think I want to use most of the session, if we can, to answer as many questions as you've got and cover off the many issues that you may want to raise.
Thanks, Stephen. That's brilliant. And yeah, just as you were talking there, we've got loads and loads of support coming in, which is fantastic. Please keep that coming in. Also, loads of questions as well. And again, please keep those coming in. Let us know where you're watching from, what your issues are. Put your key questions to Stephen, and we'll get as many of those answers as we possibly can tonight. Touching on one of the things you said there, Stephen, about imposition, and Philip Hansen makes this point. He says, pay is important, but the imposition is the main issue for me. And you were talking earlier on when we were setting the scene for the session before we went live around just what we've been through in EE and just what a big moment it was when we delivered the first ever negotiated above inflation pay rise. And since then, 2 years in a row now, we've suffered the impacts of an imposed pay rise. Just how important is it that we shift the company on this issue and in the imposition, not only for now, but for the future as well?
Yeah, and I think I touched on it because I suppose our EE colleagues who are on tonight will know what imposition is because they've suffered it for many, many years. I know when we negotiated the pay rise for them, they did roundings as well, where they only rounded down. So to get a performance related pay, which is what it was, you had to be 5, and they would round it down from 4.9 to 4, and we got rid of all that, and it was great because it was a move forward. But since then, the company haven't liked that. And they want to impose their will again, as they did previously in EE. And that is just really, really dangerous, a really dangerous culture to go down because you don't get a say. It's not negotiating with us. It's just them giving you what they want to give you. And like I said earlier, clearly what they're giving you is they can afford to give you a lot more. So I think it's one of the most dangerous things for any members in a ballot like this is if you don't vote yes on this, you are heading back to where we started. I know every EE member on here doesn't want to go there.
Spar, Stephen, and that's backed up by Trench 24, Trench 124. I think he's saying that they've been with the company all the way since Orange, no union recognition, nothing. And now we have a voice, so let's use it. And that's it, isn't it? Our members, through their support, the union and the membership have earned this right. And now they've earned the right to have a say. Just how critical is it that everyone watching and everyone may be watching on catch up later on at a more convenient time for them, get the message that this is their right to vote and they have to exercise that right?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I said, on the pay deal we just got them, that was the first time ever they've had a say in pay. The people who negotiated that pay rise when we got recognition were your EE national team, who you'll hear from shortly. So it was EE people actually negotiating those pay deals for you as part of the national team that we have. And again, you got to vote on it. We came round, we were allowed on site to speak to you, to encourage you to vote because we thought it was the best deal we had. The company made it clear to us that moving forward, pay would be negotiated encompassing all of BT, which we've already ever done standard living pay rises, which I think which is basically what everyone wants. They don't want these unfair performance related pay ones. So yeah, I think I don't have to really tell the EE members how important it is because they know where they've been, they know what they've got, and they know what potentially they're going to lose again if they don't vote yes.
Thanks, Stephen. We talked a little bit earlier as well about this point that Jen has raised, and she said it's going to be a huge yes, and she managed to get a couple more members of my team to join the union today. I mean, and that is, in essence, Jen's like personifying what we need from everybody in the coming weeks, isn't it? Which is to get out there, you do your bit, but in terms of getting your ballot paper back, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a while, but also it's important that our members and reps become the union and get out and convince other colleagues, A, to join, B, to vote, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I think this is such a big thing that we've got to get to people. People are online. We're going to try and hold as many events at different times. But the people who won't have seen that, there'll be people probably who sometimes might be a little bit worried, a little bit scared, and we're hoping to remove those fears. But you play a part in that. We need you to encourage every single colleague that you've got how important this is. Encourage them to be a point of contact. Encourage them, if they've got any questions, to contact their local reps or the national team members who are on site. And speak to as many people as you can, because obviously your branches have a number of people and they'll be doing everything in their power, but we're all the union. All of us are the union, and we all have to play a part in this. And that part is convincing everyone we possibly can that it's essential that we vote yes.
Absolutely. Sparman, there's already been over 800 EE members tuning in tonight to see, some or all of the session. And if just all of you spoke to 2 or 3 colleagues and convinced, then we're some way to getting over the threshold, some way to winning the ballot, some way to delivering you a proper pay deal. So get behind you and get out there. A good question here from Michael Gladden, Stephen, who says, "Hi, Stephen. It's a yes from me. However, speaking to people on site, there appears to be a slight nervousness around losing money. What can we do to help dispel this concern?"
Look, I understand that, because in some respects, our call centre workers are the lowest paid workers in BT. And I know that losing a day's pay is scary. But in the research that we've done with our research department, the average person, the average household is going to lose over £2,640 a year because of the numerous price rises, inflation, utilities. So I know it's a bit short-term thinking, and I understand why they do that. But you're actually going to be in more debt if you don't vote yes, because if you accept 1,500, you're going to potentially lose over £1,000 in the year, and that will put you even in a worse financial situation. And equally, like I said earlier, in the future, your pay will be imposed. And I think it'll be very surprising if you ever got a cost of living pay rise in the future as well. So you're just going to make your situation significantly worse, not only in this year, but in future years. So I know it's scary, but I think if we all come together and all vote yes, then it might be a short industrial action. I can't see it being very long, because it will be a very clear message to the company that you're not prepared to accept it.
Spot on, Stephen. Heather says, "I got my son to join and we'll both be voting yes." That is the way to do it, Heather. Great work. Thank you for that. We have got loads of questions coming. Michael's saying, can BT are putting it around, saying, putting the fear into people. And Michael's asking, can new employees be discriminated against or sacked for taking part in industrial action, Stephen?
Absolutely not. It's actually illegal for that to happen. It's your legal right to take industrial action. It's our legal right to ballot you. You have a legal right to be in the ballot. Equally, a little bit of fear to try and get rid of. We use an independent scrutineer in these ballots as well. So the company will not know how you voted or what you voted. So no, and equally as well, we want to try and encourage many non-members as well, but a non-member doesn't have to cross a picket line either. So the law does protect everyone. So have no fear in that whatsoever. And if it helps, when I first started in my first 4 months, we took industrial action and I was fine. There was no problems whatsoever.
Thank you, Stephen. Brilliant. And Jonathan makes a great point here. The thought of losing a day or two's worth of pay doesn't fill me with joy, but we cannot afford not to have a say in what we're worth. And I think he sums it up really, really powerfully there. Well done, Jonathan, and many other people making the same point. Mark is asking, and a couple of people have asked this actually, Stephen, if we do get to the point, which hopefully we will sooner rather than later, of reaching a negotiated settlement with a company, will we be insisting that all of the terms of that get backdated? Obviously, pay, overtime rates, pension contributions, etc.
Well, we obviously that's what we'll ask for. I think we have to be careful, because if we do get a really good pay rise and it's there, I wouldn't want to turn it down for the backdate. But I think clearly we would want that backdated. That would be our position, absolutely. But I don't necessarily want to tie the negotiating people's hands. It depends on what we get. But let's be clear: whatever we do get and whatever is negotiated, we want to return it to the way it should be. We'll put it to you, and you have a vote on whether you want to accept it. And that's exactly what we want to go back to.
Spot on. Thank you, Stephen. Brilliant. And we're rifling through the questions, and I can see that's going down well with the members as well. Loads of you getting your question answered. Keep them coming, and we'll try and keep doing as many as we can. And of course, as Stephen said earlier, we're going to hear from the national team and people on the ground close to you shortly as well. Stephen, I wanted to talk to you a little bit around, particularly here for our EE members, as this session is around them, around the sort of confusion led by BT and around, we're offering you a fantastic pay rise, or we're also lifting your pay to £20,000, and actually those not really coming together. So could you clear that up and basically put the members straight on it?
Yeah, to be very clear, our members were on about 19,011, and the company approached us early in January to say that they were losing that, over 50% attrition in certain places with the members, because people were not, and equally they couldn't recruit people because they couldn't attract them on that period. And the reason for that is because they've driven pay down in EE and BT in the call centres over the last few years, and many years in EE. And it got to a point where it was so low they couldn't recruit and they couldn't retain. So they told us they wanted to uplift it to 20,000 to try and address that. Personally, I don't think 20,000 is enough. I don't think it has addressed it. But what they've very cleverly done with a bit of marketing skills, they've claimed that the 1,500 they give you includes that uplift. But actually what it means is they've uplifted you to get it to a point where hopefully it'll address attrition, but they're only going to give you a £500 pay rise. So everyone else is getting 1,500, but they're, cruelly including an uplift that was nothing to do with the pay rise, was purely to do with them addressing attrition in your uplift to try and save money. And I think that's disgraceful because that is our lowest paid workers. Our lowest paid workers, they're actually attacking again. They're attacking them again because that uplift was purely, like I said, around the fact that they were losing too many people and the wage was too low. And then instead of giving them an extra 1,500 on top of that, they only give them 500. But let me be clear, 1,500, even if it was on top of 20,000, we do not believe is enough to cover the cost of living pay rises that are out there now.
You couldn't have been any clearer there, Stephen. Well done, buddy. So, yeah, loads of good questions. Jem's asking when we're looking at a result. The ballot will close, open on the 15th of June. Will close on the 30th, and the result will be as soon as possible after that. We've also got we've got a question from a member who's saying that they're supporting the union, Stephen. They're going to vote yes, but they are leaving the company at the same time. And they're saying that some of their colleagues who are leaving as well are not sure whether they should bother voting, whether it's important to them. What would your message be? Because obviously there is a high transitional rate and attrition rate.
I think there's two parts to that question, Chris. If you get a ballot paper, then we want you to vote yes. There are things that we hear as well that, well, it's pointless me voting yes because I'm leaving anyway. And I think that's a crucial question we have to address. But it's still important that you vote yes because you want to protect your colleagues who you've worked with. You want to make sure that they get what they deserve. But equally, if you don't vote yes, even if you're going somewhere else, we're a recognised trade union. If we can't get a pay rise in a trade union, and because people aren't voting yes in the ballot because they're leaving, that's going to have a massive impact on pay everywhere. Because the union, if you didn't know, and all the unions and all the people around this country who are part of this low pay culture are coming down to London to protest because we can't allow that to continue. And I think what's shameful as well, when you hear BT saying market rates, they're comparing us to the lowest market rate. So they're actually, again, joining in with this low pay culture, which for a blue chip company, I think is absolutely disgraceful. Because we know the role that you do. We know how challenging it is. And there's evidence to back that up as well, because BT do an exit survey where they ask people why they were leaving. And the main reasons why people leave in EE and BT across sales and service is because it's not paid enough for the role that it is. It's really challenging. You're dual skilled and it's a very complicated role. And we need to spell those myths as well, Chris.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stephen. So loads of questions coming in. Remember, everybody, you can help us by sharing the link, tagging your colleagues, texting the link, WhatsApping it, however means possible, getting out there. They don't have to watch it live. They can watch it at their own convenience. The session will remain up on catch up throughout the duration of the whole ballot. Dawn has a good question here from the members for you, Stephen. She says, what will happen about the pro rata side? We got told 1,500 pay rise, but with no consultation of them changing our hours from 37.5 to 35. We didn't get the full £1,500. That's a question from Dawn for you, buddy.
Right. We are dealing with that issue separately, but I want to make it clear, this ballot, we have to be very careful because there is legal consequences to that. This ballot is purely about pay and the imposition of pay moving forward. There was some issues that we did have outside of this in relation to the removal of the breaks, and we are in the process of looking at that. We may have to take some legal recourse to see where we are with it. Unfortunately, the changes happened not just recently, but well before that. So we will be communicating members on that issue. But I have to be very clear on this call tonight. This is purely around pay and the imposition of pay. But we are looking at that issue, and we'll communicate members of where we can go with that.
Thank you, Stephen. One of the points quite a few people are asking is, and I think it was made by John, Carl. There's so many comments, which is great that I can't pick them up. Carl is saying the fact is the company can easily afford to pay us properly. They're choosing not to. If we don't win the ballot, it's game over for us and the union. And I think the first sentence there certainly is true. When you consider this is a company that has had mass profit, mass shareholder dividends. I mean, we were talking earlier, they've got a BT consumer event at the National Executive Centre in Birmingham. That don't come cheap. This isn't a company that isn't awash with cash. Also, by the way, a company that's chosen, because of the impact of the cost of living on them, to hike their prices for the customers, yet won't accept an improvement in the wages for the staff. So what would your take be on the affordability of a proper and decent pay rise for our members?
I think you just got to look at the statistics, haven't you? The statistics say it all. They made £1.3 billion, right? So they're a very profitable company. I know from speaking to my members in EE and Consumer, they didn't survive COVID, like I said earlier. They actually thrived. People needed services at home. People needed extra faster broadband because they were working from home. They needed packages to entertain themselves and the kids, and mobile packages were sold, and mobiles were still sold. But the worst thing is, out of that 1.3 billion, they're giving 761 million pounds of that to the shareholders. And when we say shareholders, in the main, it's three main shareholders who are pretty rich in themselves anyway. Do you know what I mean? And only a very small proportion of it, I think, don't hold me to the maths, but I think it was just over 7.2, the dividends. I might be slightly wrong, but only 0.5% of that dividend payment would have covered a cost of living pay rise for our members. And that just tells you that they can afford it, but they just don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They want to impose pay. They want to impose their will. And I just think that's shameful. I think it's shameful for a blue chip company and everything you've done through COVID, coming in, putting your lives at risk at the beginning until the CBU got you home. Not for you to share in that profit is disgraceful, and we have to fight it. We have to fight it. It's just unacceptable.
Brilliant, Stephen. And I think that someone just said there about the company constantly talking about the market rate and like race to the bottom attitude. And isn't it funny that they talk about the market rate when it comes to employees and CWU members, but when it's CEOs or senior management, they talk about having to pay the best to get the best. And maybe they could take a leaf out of their own book with our members. Heather asked a really good question here, Stephen. He said, I understand the need to vote yes, but my son and I are the only wage earners in a home. What I want to know is, will any action we take be just a series of one-day strikes or likely more than one day at a time? And I guess the question there, which a few people are posing, is, are we going to be responsible with people's, vote?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think, look, if we get a massive yes vote and everyone votes yes, I think we will have to take some action, I think, because this company, these management we're dealing with, want to play hardball. So I think we will have to take action. But I think whenever we do these things, we're very cognizant of our lowest paid workers. And so there's ways and means of doing industrial action that protects our lowest paid workers. I think if we got a massive turnout in EE and all of you on tonight convince everyone to vote yes and take action, I don't think it'll be a long dispute. I don't think the company could afford it to be a long dispute. But equally, it shows that we're all together, we're all connected, and we're all strong, and that frightens the company. The reason they gave you the £1,000 last year wasn't because out there going goodwill. It's because they're scared of us. They're scared of the union. The reason they've given £1,500 this year is because they're scared of the strength of this union. And that's why it's so important when we have this ballot that we show them we have got strength. We are together. We are united, because that will probably, hopefully, make it a short dispute. But to your point, we are very cognizant of our lowest paid workers, and there are ways and means of taking industrial action that actually protect those members.
Thanks, Stephen. Brilliant. So a really good and opportune moment to give Stephen a little breather, and also to let you hear from the EE national team in CWU and people who work alongside you and do a fantastic job on behalf of you and the whole union. Here's some of our national team setting out why it's so important you vote yes.
Emma, I'm the EE national representative for the South Wales branch. From the 15th of June, you will all start receiving a ballot paper to your home address. This is a ballot for strike action over pay. You've all worked extremely hard through the COVID pandemic. Key workers keeping the country connected through circumstances we've never faced before, but we got through it. And after all our hard work, you deserved a decent pay rise. We all deserved a decent pay rise. So stand with me on the 15th of June. Vote yes because we deserve more. Vote yes because you've all worked hard and the company should be rewarding you for that. So when you get your ballot paper on the 15th of June, vote yes. Vote yes over the strike over pay because we all deserve more.
Hi, I'm Paul Elsmore. I work on broadband faults in EE, and I'd just like to share my reasons for voting yes. Now, it's likely we'll be hearing a few arguments about pay from BT management over the next few weeks, And through this time, it's got to be important to remember a few things. Firstly, remember how they put their prices up above inflation levels to protect their profits, yet don't feel the same need to protect us, their workers. And a pay rise that fails to meet the cost of living means we lose out and fall further behind, or to enable BT to increase their profits even further. And also, remember the huge shareholder payment, a fraction of which would settle our pay concerns. And remember how at first they claimed they couldn't afford it. That's only due to the pressure we all apply through the CWU that has got us to the £1,500. And now, through the refusal to talk, we need the pressure of a ballot to push them further.
Hey, Shona here from the EE National Team in Greenock. I have been an agent now in the Greenock call centre for 20 years, and when the ballot paper arrives, I will be voting yes, because the fact that this pay rise, or part pay rise if you've already had the uplift, has been imposed on us this year cannot be tolerated. Recent members might not be aware, but we fought for a long time to have a union that was recognised in EE that gives us a say and gives us a right to vote on our pay rise, and we have done previously. We've voted, we've resolved issues like the roundings, but now they've decided this year we've not have a vote. And so ballot papers will be arriving shortly at your house. Please make sure that when you get them, you make sure your voice is heard, you fill it in, you post it back, and vote yes.
Hi, I'm Mel Wilson from the EE National Team, representing members in the North East. And I'm just here to say that next week when those ballot papers land, we really, really want you to deliver a massive yes vote and send a huge message to this company that you deserve more than what you've been given. It's not fair that they've imposed this pitiful pay rise. I have stories of members throughout the call centres who can't afford to eat. They're using your colleagues. The person sat next to you, they're using food banks because they can't afford to eat. People can't afford to put fuel in their car to get to work. This is absolute disgraceful, and it's a crisis that we're all facing. So it's only right that you get a pay rise that you deserve. Vote yes.
I mean, absolutely. I know you want to comment on those videos, Stephen, because they're absolutely brilliant.
I think it's brilliant because you're hearing from the people who you do sit next to at work, who've been there through all them many years of and challenges that you've had. And, you know, we've heard it at a national level as well of members using food banks. And what a disgrace that a blue chip company puts workers in this situation. You know, you've got recognition now. I think that, you know, you had a vote, we negotiate now, and that's what we want to return to. But, you know, I think every single one of your national team members summed it up, didn't it? You kept this company going. You kept this company connected through COVID. You've made those profits, and you deserve a share of it that covers the cost of living.
Thank you, buddy, and well done again to all of our national team members. Fantastic stuff.
Brilliant.
Stephen, back on the questions, buddy. Michael is saying, by sending a strong message to EE with a pay ballot, will it strengthen the union's ability to negotiate going forward for other issues and terms and conditions? Obviously, you haven't been emphatic and very crystal clear. This is a ballot about pay. But I suppose, you know, the question is, like, you know, will it strengthen the union in any way, shape or form if we can deliver the big yes vote?
Well, yes, it does, because it's our biggest weapon, isn't it? Industrial action is our biggest weapon. We don't throw it around. We don't use it. We like to talk. We like to negotiate. We like to find common ground. You know, we've negotiated in BT prior to recognition in E for many, many years. And we have falling outs and we don't agree on everything. But everything we do negotiate in relation to your pay and terms and conditions comes to you. And you have a vote on it, and you have a say on it, and that's what this is about. This is what it's about. It's about them not imposing pay, them allowing you to talk to it. But it will give us leverage, of course it will, because, you know, for the first time we've used it in 35 years, our members have all stepped up and voted yes. So the company will know that if they want to mess around with anything you've got in the future, they know the strength. We've still got that strength. We know that we're all united, and we know that you know you're behind your union because you are part of that union.
Thank you, buddy. We've got quite a few people asking. I know it wasn't specifically what the session was about today, but quite a few of our members. So I'm sure you'll take the opportunity to answer the question around what the plans are for retail members.
Yeah. We don't actually have recognition in the retail area, but quite clearly, you know, we're negotiating pay for EE, which is part of BT, and Openreach is part as well. So any negotiated settlement that we get would cover. We would expect to cover the areas even that we don't have recognition. But we are still fighting in those areas. We only unfortunately have the customer facing part of EE currently, and we are pushing to get recognition in corporate and retail. And, again, I think if we show strength on that and we get the members coming in because they see what we've done, then we can grow that and push a recognition in all parts of EE.
Thank you, Stephen. But quite a few members are asking, what is the union aiming for? Are they aiming for 10% flat rate? Are we demanding a certain percentage? Chris K says here, I'd like to know what the bottom line is, our lowest asked, or do we not advertise that to BT new negotiations yet? And I think he's sort of semi-answered the question there of it's not the best form of negotiations because inflation is just going up and up and up. But a pitch for you on what would be good enough. And obviously the secondary thing of ultimately our members will judge that, won't they?
I think it's down to our members, really, isn't it? We just want to get back around the table and start where start negotiating. All we've had is a couple of offers, and then it was imposed. We want to get back on the table and negotiate. We don't want to put I don't want to put a figure on it because obviously those negotiations we may get to a point where we have to come back to you and ask you a question. But for me, it's ultimately not about us saying what you should get. We want you to get a cost of living pay rise. We want to try and get more because if the company's been successful. But whatever we get, I think, because good negotiations only go so far, we'll come back to you and give you a vote on whether you want to accept it or not. And I think that's the most important part that we're trying to achieve. I'm not if you put a figure on it, I think you've answered the own question. It ties our hands. You never know what's going to happen with inflation. You never know what's going to happen out there. So yeah, for me, it's about getting us back around the table and allowing you to have a say and remove this imposition.
Thank you, Stephen. Fantastic, buddy. A good opportunity. We're right towards the back end of the session now. So a good opportunity for you, again, to remind you that, no doubt that EE management will be all over the session and seeing the feedback. So really good chance for you to let them know that you're behind the union. So if you are behind your union, if you are planning to yes, simply put I'm voting yes in the comments now, and we'll share the best of them up on screen. Stephen, I wondered if you could talk a little bit around the actual mechanics of the ballot, when it's coming out, when it's closing, how the ballot will be run and all those sorts of things, buddy.
Yeah. I think, obviously the ballot's been dispatched on the 15th. And I think one of the most crucial things about the ballot paper is, some of you will have your own houses. Some of you will live with your parents. It's really crucial that, I don't know, we've had some great responses from here and you're all voting yes and you'll look out for it. But we need to, it's a crucial thing when that lands. We don't want to lose that ballot paper because we're going to get another one. So you want to make sure that you speak to all your colleagues, tell your parents if you live at home that put that on the mantelpiece, just open it up, a quick yes, and stick it in the dispatch box. It runs for 2 weeks. As soon as the ballot closed, shortly after that, we'll get the result and notify you. But I think the crucial thing, especially with these ballots, is it's not like the consultative ballot where you vote online. This is a proper postal scrutiny ballot. So you've got to be really, really careful that ballot paper doesn't get chucked out in the post. Make sure, like I said, that you and your parents put it on the mantelpiece when it comes around the 15th and, just open it up, take a yes and put it in the box.
Thank you, Stephen. Brilliant, buddy. Sort of getting towards the end of the questions, but quite a few members are asking, what is it they individually, because obviously we've got a raft of, just to reassure members, we're going to be texting them, emailing them, writing to them at their home addresses, doing more and more sessions like this. We've got standalone videos, which will be coming out in the next week or so. So loads of comms coming at you. But as an individual member's point of view, what can they do to help us win the ballot?
I think the most important thing is for you to engage with your colleagues, right? You need to engage with your colleagues. I think, all these people who are saying I'm voting yes, and Chris said it earlier on, which is exactly what you need. You need to speak to 3 or 4 colleagues. We've got over 800 people on here tonight. If you did that and convinced them and showed how important it was to do that. I think as well, we need to put pressure on the company. I think Chris would love if you all got that poster that he was sent to your address, get a picture, get it sent in. We can put it on social media because, again, that puts pressure on the company when people are saying, that they're scared they can't afford to come out and things like that. That type of pressure potentially could force the company's hand. We want you to get on to attending meetings. So if you've got people who, have got doubts or whatever, and we arrange meetings, encourage maximum attendance to those things, share everything that you've got on social media with your colleagues. Like I said, your branch has so many reps. and so many national team members, become a workplace rep or a point of contact, somebody who can hand stuff out, hand mailings out, point people to the videos that we'll be putting out, point them to all the social media. But I think we can't leave any stone unturned on this. And I think one thing we need to do, we're going to be ringing you and we're going to be trying to get hold of you just to tell you to vote yes. And I think we just encourage you as well to speak to all your colleagues and either answer the phone to us and let us know. If we will text you and email you as well, reply to that for us, please. Really crucial that you do. Let us know that you're up for it. Do you know what I mean? And equally, you know what I mean. Share everything that I've just said. The social media, like I said, we just don't want no stone to be unturned. It's like I said, it's the first time in 35 years. So I think some people aren't conditioned for this, and that's why it's so important that we do all this work and we share it. Because, like I said at the very beginning, we're all part of the union. We're all the union. We have different levels and people, elected representatives, but we are all part of that union. And if only we all get involved, is the only way we're going to win this.
Thank you, buddy. Brilliant stuff. Mark's asking when the T-shirts are coming out. Vote yes, he wants to wear one. So I'm sure your branch, get hold of your branch. I'm sure they're dealing with that. We've been sending them links where they can buy them and stuff like that. So that's great. Another question that's coming from a couple of members, Stephen. I don't know why there's a concern about this, but there is if we do deliver a big pay rise, are we planning to put union fees up? And I should also caveat that with the fact that the union hasn't put fees up for a long time now, so I'm not sure there's any grounds for suspicion. But just thought you could knock that one out of the park, buddy.
Well, no, I'm not aware of any at the minute. In some respects, we are a union, and in the future prices may go up, but I would never link the price of the membership going up based on the pay rise. The most important thing is to get your pay rise. To be fair, if you look at the maximum, I think it's over £15. That. If we get you the cost of living pay rise, it more than covers any rises. But I'm not aware of any planned rises, so I wouldn't worry about that. The most crucial thing, this is about pay and imposing pay and stopping that and getting you cost of living pay rise. That's the crucial thing we need to talk about, because that's the thing that's going to impact you financially a hell of a lot more.
Thank you, buddy. Good question here from Makilap, who's saying, what would you say to TLs who want to join with the union, but perhaps may feel pressured to not to be vocal about or open to be doing so? There's a fair few members to be saying the company are not encouraging union membership, particularly at this time. So what confidence can you give members and potential members to get involved?
Yeah, in respect to the question, we have team leaders who joined. To be fair, we had a lot of team leaders join when we got the first negotiated pay rise that got rid of the roundings. So there was no sort of fear for that. There should be no fear for anyone joining the union. It's your legal right to join any union. You don't have to join one. You can join a few unions. You've got the legal right to do so. But equally as well, I think it's really crucial that team leaders join, because it gives all members that confidence to come out. And equally, you deserve a pay rise that matches the cost of living as well. So, if you're part of it, you're going to have a say in that vote. It's much better to be joining and have a say in that vote than not. So yeah, I would encourage all team leaders to do that, but nobody should be scared of joining the union. And to be fair, if anyone in the branches experiences anyone doing that, then we will take action ourselves. Make it very, very clear. We will have no anti-trade union activities taking place. So if you see anyone displaying those actions or behaving like that, then let us know and we'll deal with it.
Thank you, buddy. IT. Just to let you know, IT, by the way, we see the questions, but obviously we're trying to answer them in order, saying why you're not answering whether you will pay for us loss of wages during a potential strike. Obviously, this union doesn't pay official strike pay like some unions do. I mean, I would say to you, IT, and in putting a question to you, Stephen, that our experience is actually when there is strike pay involved, those disputes carry on and on and on, because the employers don't see just how serious you are. And you also have been very clear, Stephen, saying we're going to be hugely responsible with members' votes, once we get the yes vote, and once it's delivered from our membership across EE, BT and Openreach. But what would you say? Obviously, it may be a chance to reiterate, the short-term loss, long-term gain point you were making, and the importance.
Yeah, look, I understand this fear, and it is a big fear. We've seen it. It's one of the biggest issues. I think I'll go back to what I said earlier. Really, we will always protect, when we take industrial action, we will protect our lowest paid workers. I think we're all going to have to come out. We're going to be wrong for a day, but as we move forward, if it continues, we would always protect our lowest paid workers. But the affordability bit is a crucial question to ask, because, like I said earlier, we've done research, and the cost of living is going up. The cost of utilities is rocketed, and the average house and the average person in the house is going to lose over £2,640. So you might lose a day's pay, and I know it's the challenges that face. But look at it another way: if you all don't vote yes on that basis, and we lose this ballot, then you're going to be significantly worse off. Not just this year; you're probably £1,000 off this year, which will put you in much bigger debt. But moving forward, you'll probably never get a standard living pay rise again, because pay will be imposed, and that'll have even more significant impact on you. So we understand the fears that you've got, but encourage everyone to look at, to add up and weigh the cost of not doing it. And in our opinion, please vote yes. But we will be cognizant of our low paid workers if it goes on further.
Thank you, Stephen. So we've had some fantastic questions, and actually the pace of this session has been so extreme, back and forth. So I really do appreciate your contribution to that, Steve. I'm going to give you the chance now to get any final points over to our members. Just how important it is to they need to vote in this ballot and vote yes. Any final points you want to make, and obviously reiterate to the members: this session will be on catch up. It'll be out as a podcast, and we'll produce a 2 or 3 minute roundup video of it tomorrow at some point. So there's plenty of comms coming your way. But over to you for final messages, buddy.
No, look, and thanks everyone for coming on. And I really welcome the comments that have been piling through, because, the comments I've seen, the vast majority of you understand why we have to do this. You know where we were before. You know where we got to when we got a negotiated pay rise. And you know where, EE want to take us back to, and we're not going to accept it. And there's a lot of myths that we've dispelled tonight around affordability, how much they're giving to the shareholders and all those sort of things, and the danger of imposition. And I think we want you to go out and tell that message and dispel those myths for us with everybody. And equally, and if there's some challenging questions that you get that we haven't answered tonight, then direct them to your local reps, engage with your local reps, ask those questions, share all the social media stuff we do, and like I said, go and speak to 5 or 6 friends, or as many as you can, and encourage them to vote yes, and cover off all the important things we've discussed tonight around the importance of keeping the ballot paper, the importance of filling it in and getting it back. But look, I'll finish on where I started in the very beginning. This is the biggest fight in our history. It is. We've never had an industrial action for 35 years, and this is the biggest fight in our history. If we don't win this battle, then imposition is our future. And all of our EE members on this call tonight have been in that world before, and I'm loving seeing the comments saying we don't want that to happen again. So I think we all know on here tonight what we need to do, and I'm really encouraged by how many people have said vote yes. But we're not going to, like I said, we're not going to leave any stone unturned, and we all have to play a part in that. So I want you all to get out there if you possibly can. It would be really good if you could speak to those people, convince them, and let's in EE deliver 100% yes vote with a maximum turnout. If we get that, I'll tell you what, we'll make headway.
Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. So a couple of thank yous. First of all, to you, Stephen, for giving up your evening and taking so many questions for the membership. I think it's been an excellent session, and I can see that in the comments, the members really appreciate all of your answers, and and that's gone down really well. Most important of all, from Stephen and myself, is to thank you who've tuned in tonight and put all your questions across. You've done so eloquently and powerfully, and I hope the company are taking note of just how passionate you feel. I'm going to also say to you that, again, just to hit the drum, loads of comms coming your way: home mailings, text messages, emails, social media. So please share everything you see. As Stephen says, please help us get the message out there. Convince your colleagues to vote and vote yes. As a colleague said so powerfully earlier on, BT and EE and Openreach have put their prices up. It's time for us to do the same. So get behind the union and vote yes. Good night, everybody.